got the head coach of Michigan men's basketball punching opposing assistant coaches. We've got a whole bunch of political turmoil. We're coming off of the NBA All-Star game. Chaos
weekend
right
All-Star
now.
weekend
Big weekend. But baseball on this Monday. It's the Just Baseball Show. Today is Monday, February 21st. And we are on the heels of opening weekend in college baseball. We're going to talk about that. I also want to walk through 40-man protection today because it is a really big deal right now, and it might be the unsung thing about this lockout that sucks the most. Jack McMullen, Aram Layton, how you doing, hot stuff?
You had me at All-Star weekend. Oh, also, thank you. You had me at All-Star weekend. Dude, I don't want to be the baseball guy that's just like shitting on every other sports events because I love every sport. We talk about all sports here all the time, even though it's 99% baseball. Like we're always trickling in some other sports. Man, has the All-Star weekend gone to shit for the NBA. Last night, like I was just so irrationally upset. My roommate was like, "Arm, are you good, bro? Like it's not that big of a deal." I'm like, "No, I've looked forward to this. I used to look forward to it every single year." And that skills competition, Jack, was the worst thing I've ever watched in my life. And then they're doing like blindfolded Q&As with Aisha Curry and Steph Curry and 2 Chainz. And I very much apologize to 2 Chainz' girlfriend or fiance. I don't know if he's married. His significant other seemed like a very sweet lady. I don't really care though. Like I know who's the most likely to tell a joke at a party, and they're like guessing, and I'm like, this is All-Star weekend. All-Star weekend. They were doing that after I just had to watch Josh Giddey throw passes through a circle, like a giant cylinder that is like 30 by 30. Like you could pull people off the street and they're cashing that. Like it was frustrating. And then the dunk contest. Don't get me started. Nothing beats the home run derby, Jack. That's how I'm doing.
Yeah, nothing beats the home run derby. Don't slander Josh Giddey. I think Josh Giddey's sick.
I love Josh Giddey. I'd like to see Josh Giddey do something difficult, not throw it through a gaping hole.
Okay, one quick thing. I think in 2022, on this Monday, February 21st, everybody can agree that DJ Khaled objectively sucks now.
Yeah, he blows.
He blows.
But he does have a knack for just getting all the biggest names in music together.
Yeah, but like, what is that? Is it his shit on NBA All-Star Weekend was just so weird.
But it was just so on brand for like the NBA All-Star Weekend, right? Like the kids will love DJ Khaled. Like, let's throw him in there.
No, they don't. They don't. They also don't.
Although that's more of an MLB move. I would expect MLB to do that, right?
I would expect MLB to
major key, like the kids like that.
Right, exactly. Or like, have Walker Hayes play the Applebee's song at the home run derby, right? That feels like an MLB move. Hey, they love this song. The youths,
the kids, the youths love this stuff. Yeah, was not a fan, and I'm old though, so maybe the youths did love it. I'm going on 25. Maybe I'm just old and washed.
Hey, also is somebody that constantly dresses like Jarrett Allen. Them roasting Jarrett Allen's fit was stupid.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh, he's wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. God forbid. And the funniest thing was he's like, what do people want from me to wear? Like a $5,000 chain? I was like, that's the best answer he could have given.
Yeah, because the answer is yes.
Yes.
Like people want that from him. And
we want you to irresponsibly spend your money and show it off.
Right. Like, no, I think I'm good. I think I'm a big Jarrett Allen fan now.
My boy, J. Cole, has a great line on this one. By the way, he had a great All-Star performance a couple of years ago, and when he performed a lot. But he said, "If you're broke and clowning a millionaire, the joke is on you." Right?
Ooh.
That's that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people that were clowning Jared Allen's fit are not quite as wealthy as Jared Allen. So that's my parting thoughts on that one. But we're going to talk some baseball, right?
Yeah, and we were watching a bunch of guys that are going to collect future bags very soon this past weekend. This was opening weekend of college baseball. This is the baseball that's in action right now. And you saw a lot of guys, I gravitated towards the arms, but there were some bats that were undeniably good this weekend. I want to start with the bats, and then we'll get to the arms in college baseball that really stood out. Nobody stood out more than this freshman at NC State, Tommy White. This dude is a freak.
He is good, man. He is good. And, we got frequent texts from our own Peter Flaherty, who, I was just plugging the Boys of Spring podcast, which I'm really excited about, which is going to be our college baseball podcast hosted by Ryan Miller, Pete Flaherty, and Ben Bellotti, all guys super entrenched in the college baseball and Cape Cod League ranks. Peter Flaherty's longtime girlfriend is a NC State. Is she an alumni now? It's crazy. Time flies, but he's always out at NC State. And I know he's always extra amped when NC State has a good ball club. And he was out there, I believe, to see Tommy White. And I mean, White was the number 18 player in the country, according to Perfect Game. He looks like a lumberjack. And he's athletic in the box too, though. He was hitting some home runs that he has 3 now, right? On the season. He had 2 in one game and then a grand slam. Oh, wait, whoa. When did 4 and 5 come?
4 and 5 came in games 2 and 3 against Evansville. He had a 3-homer collegiate debut, and then he had 1 on Saturday and then 1 more on Sunday.
Wow. And this is not a dude, I mean, from what I've seen already, that's, big swing, like just preying on weaker competition. Then he's going to get blown up by, higher velo, tougher arms. Like, this guy's got a quick bat, good body control, and I think he's going to hit for a high average. I know it's a hot start. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but Golden Spikes watch this guy as a freshman. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, 6 foot, 242. He's from St. Pete Beach. Went to IMG Academy, trained at Diesel Optimization. Want to shout out my boy Jackson Lewis, who is currently overseas. He was in Kuwait for a little bit, and then last time I texted him, he said I'm in an undisclosed location. So I, don't know where he is anymore. But currently serving with the U.S. military. But he was the BP pitcher for Tommy White all summer last year at Diesel Optimization in the Tampa area. So I want to credit Jackson Lewis a little bit for Tommy White's start to his college career. 3 games, 5 bombs. He's 9 for 14 with 12 driven in. So his line each game 1 of his college career, he was 5 for 6 with 3 bombs and 6 driven in. He was 2 for 4 in game 2 with a bomb and 4 ribbies. And then he was 2 for 4 with a bomb and 2 ribbies in game 3 on Sunday.
Last thought on Tommy White, something he said, this was from inside packsports.com, which they do a good job covering the NC State Wolfpack. He said right after he signed in July, I want to become an impact player. I think he's doing that. I think he's making some sort of an impact. And the other thing that I really like that he said is I've always had the ability to hit with natural strength. I believe my hands and my hand-eye coordination are my biggest strength. When a guy that has that kind of pop is telling you his hand-eye coordination is his biggest strength, that kind of backs up what we were just saying. This dude can hit. This dude's going to be a first-round pick. I'm not a big jump to conclusions guy. In a couple of years from now, he'll be a first-round pick.
Yeah, 100%. Judd Fabian was a first-round pick last year. Was he a second-round pick last year?
First compensation, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was comp round A or something.
It was
the Red Sox. Judd Fabian was a Red Sox
41st overall.
41st overall. Judd Fabian, an outfielder from Florida, decided not to sign with the Red Sox. Come back to the University of Florida. This guy has gotten more patience, and he looks really freaking good.
Yeah, he looks really, really good. And, people were wondering why would he decide to come back? He had a good year, but, a lot of the underlying metrics, and you're going to get super nitpicky when you're looking at a top end pick here. I think Fabian looked at himself as a solid top 30 pick. He fell to 41. I don't think the Red Sox were really willing to slot over that 41st overall slot value because Fabian did hit 250. In that season, but he did also hit 20 jacks. Saw him in the Cape, really good athlete, can play center field, can do a little bit of everything. He's showing some good things through those first few ABs first few games laying off of breaking balls, as our own Ethan Badowski said. And people might say, well, why would Fabian go back for a 4th year? He was a guy that reclassified, went to college early, still just 21 years old. So, for him, it wasn't as much of a disadvantage to go back for a senior year. He's really still closer to junior year age for a lot of college guys. And I think Fabian could still play his way into first round consideration. And I'm sure he had a lot of people, that have a good idea of what that potential could be, advising him to go back, and big prove it year for him.
Other bats you liked from this opening weekend?
I mean, dude, I got to watch a little bit more Enrique Bradfield, of course. He was just so much fun to watch. Dylan Cruz at LSU. Oh my gosh. You got to Giacomo over there at LSU as well, who is really special, and Barry as well. That might be the best offense in college baseball. it really might be. But Dylan Cruz, I said it on the Call Up podcast. My dude's going 1-1 in 2023. He does it all, and oh my gosh, is he fun to watch play? Look out for LSU. Not only look out for LSU, but that lineup I think is going to be as tough to beat as anybody. And then Mississippi State, they can play too. But guess what? Long Beach State can freaking play. And I was really excited with what we saw from Long Beach State. The Dirtbags, they can play, Jack.
They can play a little bit. I enjoy them. Landon Sims, though.
Yeah. Landon Sims
looks really freaking good on the mound.
I left you a voicemail. I don't know if it's playable on here, but I left you a voicemail about Landon Sims. You don't need to play it. But he is, he was out to prove that he could make his way into the rotation, right? And I mean, it was funny. I was watching the whole start, and he was like in the 5th inning, 60 something pitches, and the announcer's like, "Yeah, I don't think they're going to stretch him out too far beyond here." It comes out for another inning. I don't think they're going to stretch him out too far beyond here. It comes out for another inning. He was so efficient. He was attacking guys. The fastball has that riding action that you can't teach, and he can freaking spin it too. He works so quickly, Jack. I loved it. He is so fun to watch. He might be playing himself into a position here where he could be the first pitcher taken in this upcoming draft. And I will say, though, you talk about bats. Staudivar at Long Beach State was like the only dude that was putting together good at bats, and he put together really good at bats. Another guy that bet on himself, returned to campus, and could play his way into day one consideration. Staudivar was the only player who really put together good ABs against Sims, and I think he went 3 for 3 off him.
Yeah. 2 pitchers in the SEC that I want to highlight aside from Landon Sims. Chris McIlvain at Vandy, the Friday night guy for Vandy. He can shred a little bit. And then Hunter Barco at Florida is the one there. 11 punchies in 6 innings, I want to say.
He's good.
He was really freaking good.
He was one of those guys that, honestly, I don't even think Kevin O'Sullivan, head coach at UF, was really expecting to ever reach campus. I don't know if they were ever really expecting him to reach campus, but we're seeing more guys go the college route and really enjoy doing it. And I think Jack Leiter is the latest example of how it can pay dividends if you really want to enjoy the experience and boost your draft stock in the process. Sometimes just being a late first rounder or early second rounder as a high school guy isn't enough, and you can get that valuable experience and go. And Barco is already doing that. We've seen it now through his collegiate career. I mean, I'm really excited to see this guy continue to develop.
Yeah. Who's your pick after the opening weekend to win the Natty?
Oh, dude. I mean, this LSU team, I like LSU. I mean, Vanderbilt, they returned 22 Letterman. So, I mean, they're going to be a team that's going to be a problem, and they've got a lot of pitching, but that would be such a basic pick. Not that LSU isn't that basic, but I think LSU's offense, it's like murderer's row at the front of that lineup. They're going to be a headache for a lot of teams. And I think that offense could really hit anybody.
So they lost game 1 to Illinois State, but I think the Arkansas Razorbacks are really, really good. And they've got a senior superstar. Robert Moore is their second baseman, best second baseman in the country. He's Dayton Moore's son. Dayton Moore, the president of baseball operations with the Kansas City Royals. Woo Pig Suey could be hoisting the trophy in Omaha at year's end.
He had the most respectful bat flip I saw in a while. Just crushed it pull side. Nice little flip all in one motion. Enjoyed the ride, but it was very respectful as a guy that, his dad's a pro guy. So he's going to carry himself the right way. And you don't want to do none of those darn bat flips, those disrespectful bat flips. So a very respectful one from Moore.
Yeah. All right. You want to talk about the 40-man dilemma right now?
Yeah. I feel like no one's talking about this, Jack.
No one's talking about it. As we watch college baseball get started, I think the thought crept into a lot of people's mind that, I can't wait for minor league baseball to get started, and then build up. I can't wait for Major League Baseball to get started once they get their head out of their ass. Here's the big problem, though. Some of the most notable prospects that are knocking on the door of Major League Baseball will not be able to participate in minor league opening day if MLB doesn't figure their shit out. The current MLB lockout is affecting Major League Baseball, not minor league baseball. And I think a lot of people understand that. The minor league season is going to start on time. However, The players that the Major League Baseball lockout is affecting is players that are on the MLB 40-man rosters. Certain players are protected on 40-man rosters. It's everybody that, could be a big league contributor at that moment in time. So you've got an active 26, and then you pluck from the remaining 14 to supplement if a guy goes down or you want to make a call up or send down. Before you bring a guy up to the major league level, he needs to be added to the 40-man roster. So we're looking at a lot of the best players that needed to be protected so they don't, go into the Rule 5 pool and are picked up by anybody else, that are going to be sitting here just waiting for this opportunity to get right back into baseball, even though they were going to start in AA or AAA or maybe even high A for some people. There's a world where there are AA baseball players that won't be able to play because they're on the MLB 40-man roster.
It's a really important wrinkle to that, is that these are not just guys. Not all of them are on the precipice of cracking major leagues, of cracking the major leagues. What it is, with the Rule 5 draft, 4 years after being signed or drafted, you have to be added to the 40-man roster in order to protect a player from the Rule 5 draft, which, we talk about a lot on the call up. It's always a big thing, right? How are you going to shift your 40-man roster around to add those prospects that may not be close to big league ready, but you got to add them to the 40-man to protect them from being selected by another team in the Rule 5 draft. So you have a lot of prospects.
Yeah.
Yes. But then they'll end up being selected by a team and taken somewhere else. So you have a lot of top end prospects that are on the 40-man roster that, might still be a year or two away from cracking a big league debut, because some of these guys were signed at 17 years old, made their professional debut at 18. Now they're 21, 22, and still maybe a year away from big league action, really need some time in the minors and aren't going to get it because they were protected by their team and added to the 40-man roster. And now they're not going to be eligible to potentially get much needed plate appearances in the minor leagues.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So I went through, so you don't have to, you could say, okay, we're talking big picture right now, but who does this actually affect? I went through every team's 40-man roster and plucked out the guys that I think you should know will not be making their season debut on opening day of AAA or AA baseball if this lockout were to continue. And the problem with these guys is the names that I'm going to list off haven't even been able to have communication with their MLB trainers or their coaches at any point this year. Minor league guys, you're great friends with Griffin Conine, who at the moment, and we talked about this on the call up, at the moment, it was gut-wrenching that he wasn't added to the Marlins 40-man roster. Now it's kind of a blessing in disguise because he's been able to work with the Marlins all offseason, and he's in Marlins camp right now.
Yeah, and he's feeling great, and it was interesting because he was a guy that, was expected to be added to that 40-man, but the Marlins, with all the prospects that they have that are on the precipice, it was a tight cut, and they decided not to add him. At first, it was like, oh shoot. And I texted him the other day as we realized this, as we're talking about, mentioning this topic on the podcast, and I was like, holy crap, Griff, like, thank goodness you weren't added to the 40-man. He's like, yeah, I know, man. Like, this is actually really nice. I'm going to be able to get ABs because he's like so eager to get out there. He's working with the Marlins. He's made swing adjustments. These guys, it's just all baseball. You need reps. Like, there's no other sport. I mean, you need reps in every sport, but baseball, like, you can get a good idea. And, like in other sports, of like what a guy can be. Baseball, it could be that 1000th at bat in the minor leagues that things start to like turn the corner for you. Yeah. So just as many at bats as possible is so important. And it's a really important developmental point for a lot of these prospects. And this is something that, I think teams have to realize too, is going to have a big impact on their org if they take too long to get this thing going. And I think we're seeing a little bit of urgency from teams now as they've shown. Owners are like flying in. They want to meet almost every single day to try to make this thing happen. I think this is one of the reasons why. You already stunted prospect growth in 2020. Of course, that was nobody's fault. That was a natural, really unfortunate situation given the pandemic. But like, that was something that really affected the development of prospects. You can't allow anything else to impede that now.
Yeah, no, you absolutely cannot. And the thing is, it might be by their own volition. And a lot of these guys that we're going to run through, some of them I'm going to talk about that have already kind of made their MLB debut, but they're still on the 40-man roster because they are the exciting guy. Every name that I rattle off, like, a realistic possibility that they start at their AAA affiliate or their AA affiliate or below that. But yeah, I mean, like it's just hard because they can't participate in minor league spring training. They're going to have to ramp up when MLB spring training starts, which is already delayed. We know that. And then they're joining the fold late when they get to their assigned affiliate. So it's just, it's a really shitty situation for these guys. On the call up today. Yeah, real quick.
Oh, no. Go ahead. I was just going to say that the Cressy, Cressy training over there, they do a lot of those like underground simulated games. I bet you a lot of top prospects will be out there like facing Scherzer and stuff. Like that's actually stuff that happens out in the Palm Beach, Jupiter area. So you'll have a lot of kind of like we had in the pandemic, some backfield games with prospects and players, which is pretty darn cool. But not as cool as seeing them play in legit action.
100%. Call-up episode that released today was the top 10 Red Sox prospect and a whole bunch of honorable mentions. So let's start with the Red Sox. I've got all 30 teams again, and I'm going to tell you who's protected. So you won't see them in Worcester or in Portland to open the year. And these are big names. Jaron Duran is protected. Of course, he was already a big league guy, but then you got Jeter Downs, you got Connor Wong, you got Jay Groom, Brian Bello, Brian Mata, Connor Siebold, Hudson Potts. Like these are a lot of names that you won't see in Worcester, and they're going to miss valuable reps.
Absolutely. And some of those guys, you could argue, really need them. really, really need them.
Yeah. Tampa, Vidal Brujan is protected. Yeah. That's a guy that's trying to crack the middle infield or maybe grab some corner outfield innings in Tampa.
Yep. Another really important guy that they need to see too. Like they need to see he showed things, hit a bit of a wall, stuck in between. Josh Lowe is going to be in that same boat. Yeah. He's another guy on the 40 man, right? I mean, it's unfortunate.
It sucks. Toronto, you got Nate Pearson, Gabriel Moreno, Kevin Smith, who some people think is a top 100 prospect. Kevin Smith is a protected guy. Yeah. And then the Yankees, you got Davy Garcia, Albert Abreu, Luis Gil, Luis Medina, Oswald Peraza, Everson Pereira. These guys are all protected. And then Baltimore, DL Hall, Tyler Nevin, Jahmai Jones, Taron Vavra, Ryan McKenna. Like these are a lot of names that won't see action right away.
And here's a perfect example, Gabriel Moreno, right? Gabriel Moreno has played his way into being a top 10, 15 prospect in baseball, I think across the board. Moreno only played 30-something games last year because he messed his thumb up. He ended up making his way back and performing really well in the Arizona Fall League. But this is a guy that was raking in AA and then, has his season cut short. He needs the ABs because he's on the precipice of the big leagues. Like he could even potentially crack the opening day roster, though I would assume they want to see at least a month or two of him in AA or AAA. I would presume AAA, and then decide what they're going to do with Jansen, Kirk, etc. This just makes all of that way more difficult for the Jays. And Moreno is somebody that could really, I wouldn't say could use him because he hits no matter what, whenever he shows up. But like, that's a guy that you want to see a little bit more of a body of work. It's unfortunate.
Something to note, though, in the AL East, you've got a lot of guys that are unprotected because they haven't needed to be protected yet. Tristan Casas is unprotected. With the Yankees, Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe are unprotected. You look at Baltimore, Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, Gunnar Henderson. Those guys aren't protected, so they can play right away.
Yeah, so thank goodness. And again, like the big disclaimer here is I still highly encourage everybody to watch a ton of minor league baseball, especially if you get the delay on the big league side. But it's just showing how the greed and frustration of the big league levels trickles down still into affecting the minor leagues, which is incredibly frustrating. And you mentioned Everson Pereira with the Yankees. Like Pereira is a guy I really like. We threw him into the Yankees top 10. But Pereira has had his progression delayed a little bit. He's still only 20 years old, but was signed, a while ago. And he has not played above high A. He played 27 games in high A. Like that guy needs ABs. Get this guy some reps, but unfortunately, some of those guys are really going to be impacted.
Yeah. White Sox, do you really care about their prospects? Like, I don't think so. So just a couple of names that are protected that you won't see: Jonathan Stever, Jake Berger, Romy Gonzalez, Yermin Mercedes, Mike Rodolfo, Blake Rutherford. Those guys cannot play minor league baseball or major league baseball until this lockout ends. Cleveland, though, we can spend some time on Cleveland. What were you going to say about the White Sox? Say something slanderous?
I just said darn.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Cleveland, you've got Connor Pilkington, who I know you like, missing out on some big-time reps. And then you got a bunch of really young guys that are super talented. Brian Lavastida, Nolan Jones, Junkensi Noel, Brian Rocchio, Jose Tena, Stephen Kwan, who we think is big league ready, and then George Valera. Like those are like the top 10 prospects for the Cleveland Guardians that are protected and can't start in Columbus or Akron.
No team added more players to their 40-man, no more prospects to their 40-man than the Guardians did. I believe it was 12, maybe 13 that they added to that 40-man roster. And I own a media company that covers baseball going into a lockout. So obviously that's incredibly frustrating for me for a lot of reasons. Nothing will frustrate me more if I do not get to see Junkensi Noel play baseball in the minor leagues next year. Like, forget the company for a second. If I don't get to see Junkensi Noel hit nukes for the Guardians, this is a guy that only played in high A last year. If I don't get to see Noel hit, that's my breaking point with this lockout. That is my breaking point.
Hey, you know what? Good thing for the Guardians, though. Daniel Espino is not protected, so he can still pitch. Tanner Burns, another good young pitcher, but like, damn. I mean, it'd be nice if this thing ended so you could see more George Valera and Junkensi Noel.
Yeah, Valera's special, super special. Both those guys not close to the big leagues yet.
Torkin Green can still play for Detroit, so they'll be ready to rock. However, Matt Manning is missing more innings. He's protected because he made his MLB debut. I mean, this is a guy that can't miss starts when he's healthy.
No, let him go throw some bullpens on the side.
God, I mean, it's just vital that he throws more innings.
I know. Like Matt Manning is one of the peak affected guys in this as well. Just turned 24 years old about 20 days ago. A guy that I was really excited about, really disappointed last year. And yeah, he really, 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 really needs starts.
Another guy, Alex Faedo, is rehabbing from Tommy John. He's not allowed to do it with the Tigers because he's protected.
Yeah. How does that work? Like, you can't communicate with the team, right? But like, what if you accidentally communicate with that? Like, I feel like there's got to be so many loopholes to that.
Yeah. You got to have a burner phone.
They've got to be giving him some sort of like rehab plan, right? Like, there's communication here.
I hope so. I hope that these organizations were proactive before the lockout started and said, here's what you're going to do every day until spring training starts.
I'm sure some orgs did that. I'm positive some orgs didn't. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, 100%. Minnesota, you've got Yohan Duran, who is protected, Jordan Valazovic, who is protected, Joe Ryan, who obviously made his MLB debut. Then you got like Royce Lewis, Jose Miranda. These guys cannot play with AAA St. Paul. And then Kansas City, Jackson Coar, Edward Olivares, Emmanuel Rivera, Kyle Isbell, and then two big-time names that can't play with Bobby Witt Jr., who is not protected and can still play for AAA Omaha. MJ Melendez and Nick Prado. They're protected.
Same draft. Yep, same draft. So they're not going to be able to. That was first and second round picks, back to back there. So yeah, they had to be added to the 40-man after that duration of time there, which is nuts. So Witt, just because he climbed so quickly, fortunately, he still does not need to be added to the 40-man yet. So no reason for the Royals to do that. They can let him get some more at bats. Something that I just kind of realized as we're talking about this, you see a lot of these top prospects. I think John Duran was throwing. Like I always get all the leagues mixed up. There's so many different, Latin American leagues, and then you have the Mexican league, and then and they're all really fun and exciting and competitive. So they all just look all of them just look more energetic than anything we see here.
Yes.
But Duran was pumping somewhere in one of those leagues. But I wonder how many of these prospects might just go play some indie ball for a month. Like, if you're an indie ball team, hell, man, I will sign any of you guys, and I'll tell our starting shortstop to kick rocks if I can get a month of whoever, out there, outfielder, to get George Valera playing for us for a month. I wonder if we'll see some of these guys play some indie ball. I don't know what the MLB restrictions are on that, but restrictions don't apply when the league is locked out, right? So they can do whatever the hell they want.
I think they can do whatever they want. That means Julio Rodriguez could play in the Atlantic League if he so chose.
Yeah, that guy can just chill. But like, I'd love to see like Noel in the Atlantic League just launching home runs. That would be fun. It'd be great for indie ball.
It'd be pretty fun. AL West quickly. We got Forrest Whitley, Jeremy Pena protected in Houston. The Angels, don't know, don't care. Marsh and Adele are protected, but they're already big leaguers. Don't worry about that. AJ Puck protected. Brent Honeywell, new Oakland A, can't do anything until this lockout ends. Jordan Diaz, who I really, really like, corner infielder in the A's system. He was in high A this year. He packs a punch. 21 years old, but he signed a long time ago, so he was protected. He can't play. He can't continue his ascent through the A's system. Texas, you got Ezekiel Duran, Leo de Tavares, Glenn Otto, Sam Huff. Those guys are protected. And then Seattle, Brash, Justin Dunn, J-Rod, Taylor Trammell. These guys can't play, and it would be kind of nice to have them start in Tacoma and then get up and join you.
At least they have Kirby, Williamson are all good. Hancock can all play.
Hancock's good, yeah.
But and a guy on the Rays side, I believe he is a 40-man guy, if I'm not mistaken. Tommy Romero, that would be a guy. Is he impact? Because that's somebody that I am extremely excited to see throw. And personally, I think he's right on the precipice of cracking a big league roster. Was really good in AAA, finished extremely well for Durham. He was one of the more called about names from what I heard during the trade deadline. A lot of people a lot of teams were calling on Tommy Romero, and Romero is very similar to Joe Ryan with a low 90s fastball that's just really effective because of the profile and the command. And I think there's a reason why we saw the Rays more willing to part with Joe Ryan and not Tommy Romero, as they're very similar and similar timelines. I think, just a little bit ahead is Joe Ryan as he pitched in the big leagues last year. Romero is a dude that I know the Rays are really excited about. And is he a 40-man guy?
Yes, he is.
Boom. That sucks.
So you would like for a guy like Tommy Romero to throw 20 innings, maybe just like in the month of April, 20 innings with Durham.
Yeah.
And get him up.
Yeah, feel the big league roster out a little bit, see how Rasmussen's doing as a starter, see how some of these other guys are doing. Kluber, is he healthy? You hope that nobody gets hurt. But yeah, a month down there, Romero forces his way up. I almost guarantee Romero is going to make 10 plus starts at the big league level for the Rays next year. And I think he's going to be a really good piece for them. But yeah, that's a guy that you now have to delay that decision, which I think is a big one for the Rays as they try to feel out this rotation.
And the progression is slowed down too. Talk about progression being slowed down. Ronnie Mauricio is protected by the New York Mets.
Oh God. That guy, he cannot afford to miss. They've rushed the hell out of him, and then he's not going to be able to develop. That's just miserable. And he's been struggling in the winter leagues. Just noises. That's all I can make when I think about that.
The Mets have Mauricio protected. They've got Mark Vientos protected, who is right on the cusp there. They have Khalil Lee protected, and Nick Plummer, who they just picked up via Rule 5 with St. Louis. As just a free agent that they decided the 40-man
as a free agent, lockout. But basically de facto Rule 5 because when your contract is up, if the Cardinals wanted to re-sign Plummer, they would have had to add him to the 40-man. And they didn't have a spot for him. It wasn't really an issue with Plummer. And the Mets said, hell, we'll give you more money. And they paid him way more than you would normally expect from a minor league free agent deal. And Plummer got a nice little paycheck. Rare occasion where you see a minor league free agent get a nice little check. And he could be a piece for them. I think he's going to battle it out with Khalil Lee for the fourth outfield spot. But now they can just battle it out on like a VR headset or something.
Yeah, that works. Oculus or maybe Win Reality or something like that. So Mark Vientos can't start the year. Brett Beatty and Francisco Alvarez can start the year. They are not protected.
So funny, man, because ironically, our first little taste of this whole situation was us. Josh Lewin, who hosts Mets in the Morning, was nice enough to have me on the podcast, which is the Mets MLB.com podcast, to talk about the Mets top 10. And Lewin, he does a great job. We had him on the Just Baseball show way back. Really nice guy. And we were going over it, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, you can't talk about the 40-man guys." I'm sorry, I know it's dumb, but we can't talk about it. It's an MLB podcast. We can't talk about guys on the roster. I was like, wait, what? So I'm like ripping out. I was so excited to talk about Vientos. I was so excited to talk about some of these guys. I'm like, oh, can't talk about Mauricio. Can't talk about Vientos. That's insane. So that was the first realization of oh my gosh, there's layers to this thing.
Yeah, it sucks. And I mean, they don't have the headshots. Everybody else has the headshots, but I mean, Like you can't see a photo of Ronnie Mauricio's smile on
Locked
MLB.com.
character. Locked character.
Blocked. Yeah, you have to unlock him. Atlanta, there's a chance that Michael Harris can pass by Christian Pache because Pache is protected. Harris is not. Drew Waters is protected. And then you've got other arms that are protected, like Dylan Lee, Tucker Davidson, Kyle Muller, Tuki Toussaint, Spencer Strider.
You know, another reason why he could probably pass Pache too is because that he's
better.
Good. Yeah, he's good, and Pache is not. But yeah, I love Michael Harris. I'm so glad that we'll be able to get to see him, get some more ABs under his belt because he's really, I think, somebody that just generated so much hype going into last year, almost an unfair amount of hype, and then had a good year. And then people were like, oh, he didn't have the superstar year that we were expecting. He had a really good year and he can do a little bit of everything. I'm really excited. Michael Harris. I think he's the best outfield prospect of that bunch, which was a hot take earlier. Seems like it's starting to become more of an acceptable take by Braves fans, because I think Braves fans are very resistant to the idea of Pache not working out because of how exciting he was, but I just don't see that bat.
Whoever you're excited to watch in Beloit or Pensacola or Jacksonville with the Marlins system, Erie Perez is fine. He's going to be full steam ahead. Griffin Conine, he's all good, but guys that are not all good. Edward Cabrera obviously made his MLB debut last year. He can't start in Jacksonville. Braxton Garrett, if you had any hope left for Braxton Garrett, he can't start in Jacksonville ahead of the field. And then Gerard Encarnacion and Monty Harrison are also protected.
Yeah. So Monte Harrison, I think, I don't know if we'll ever see him play for the Marlins again, honestly. Underreported story, but he got into a fight with Starling Marte in the clubhouse, like swung at Starling Marte.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the Marlins sent him down after that, and he was kind of in timeout. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Marlins navigate that. And he was probably a guy that I was expecting to get traded and packaged in, but somebody that I would like to see get at bats in the minor leagues anyways, and continue to try to turn things around because of how athletic and exciting he is. Former Chicago Bull Shaquille Harrison is his brother. A little fun fact there. Hooper. Shaquille can get buckets. Monte was a great 3-sport athlete. Interesting guy, could use at bats. But yeah, I mean, you still get to see the Bodets, the Burdicks, those guys as well. So that's the good news. Erie Perez is someone I'm extremely excited about. But yeah, how crazy. You don't fight Starling Marte.
No, hell no.
I don't even know what the context was. I'm so curious how you could get that angry at Starling Marte. By all accounts, great guy. So I thought that was kind of an interestingly underreported story that our man Craig Mish was all over when it happened.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Philly, if you care about any of their prospects, you can still watch them because Bryson Stott and Mick Abel are 1-2, and then there's a massive drop off there. They are both unprotected, so they'll be playing right away, whether it be with Lehigh Valley or someone a little bit farther down the chain. But Hans Kraus is protected.
Yep, cracked the big league. So that's a guy that we're not going to be able to see too much of. Which he put some stuff together last year. Would have liked to see some more and see if he could build off of that. That sucks. I love Bryson Stott. So it'll be fun if there is a delay to the season where Stott could just be in AAA making a mockery of it. Because you know how I feel about his outlook and why I think he could be the starting shortstop. He might make it even easier for the Phillies if the minor league season starts and the MLB season's delayed, has a month of a body of work where he's just lighting it up in AAA and just be like, all right, well, here we go. Just put me in the delayed opening day roster at shortstop.
Yeah, I think you're a month ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. So that's the one positive here. That could be the one guy that benefits from this whole thing could be Bryson Stott.
Well, and Bobby Witt.
Same story with, but Witt doesn't have to show it as much. I feel like Witt, that's a team that isn't really set on winning right now. Whereas the Phillies, like they have the MVP, they have a really good offense. They've got a great 1-2 punch with also Ranger Suarez, and they're trying to win right now. They're not really worried about development. And like if they don't think Stott gives them the best chance to win right now, which I think is crazy if they don't think that, but there's a chance, like they're not going to play him. So I'm excited for him to really be able to show that.
3 guys that I think are pretty interesting that are protected by Washington. Unprotected, Cade Cavalli can throw right away. Jackson Rutledge can throw right away.
Thank goodness.
Don't worry about that. But Seth Romero is protected. Romero is a guy that I think like they were still holding out a teensy bit of hope on. Donovan Casey, who is one of the guys in return for the Scherzer Turner package from the Dodgers, is protected. And then this is a really interesting one. Yaselan Tuna. You remember the bag he got in international free agency?
Yes. And, I'm going to use any opportunity. Play the percentages. Don't give all your money to one guy in international free agency. And Tuna got paid.
Antuna got paid like Soto type money from the year before. Antuna, I think, was the year after Soto in international free agency. Antuna is in the middle of trying to switch from short to third. And he also is grasping at straws for what's left of his potential superstardom with the bag he got. It's hard. It's hard. And this sucks for Antuna.
Yeah, because look, I mean, has his outlook drastically shifted? Of course, but he's still 22. Like he could put it together. He still has a chance. But now, again, another guy that just won't get that opportunity. Signed for $3.9 million out of the DR. Switch hitter, has some tools. Did not have a great year in high A, but showed flashes of some positive things. Would be a great opportunity to try to see him do a little bit more. Don't get to see that. And somebody that, has not even has only played 244 games in his professional career, and 48 of those, or 51 of those, were in rookie ball. So less than 200 full season games. It's nothing.
I know this is getting a little bit listy, but I think this is good for everybody to just hear who their favorite team's prospects are going to be playing.
Well, not only that, how much it impacts, everything for the development of almost every single organization. It really is. There's a trickle down effect here from top to bottom. And I think it puts in perspective, how many top prospects are on 40-man rosters too, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Guys not playing in Iowa or Tennessee, if you're a Cubs fan. Anderson Espinoza, who needs innings more than he needs air to breathe. Espinoza is protected. He was also protected by the Padres on the 40-man last year. Braylon Marquez knocking on the door, top pitching prospect in the Cubs system, possibly. Alexander Vizcaino, who came over as part of the Rizzo deal to the Yankees, he's protected. Miguel Amaya, their top catching prospect, he's protected. Christopher Morel, who looks like he could be a good infielder, he's protected. Alexander Canario, who is the main return in the Bryant deal, he's protected. Nelson Velasquez, who stood on his head in the Arizona Fall League, he's protected. Gosh. There are a lot of guys and a lot of really talented Cubs minor leaguers that you cannot tune into if this lockout's still going on.
Velasquez was so fun, man. From the end of the season in AA all the way to that performance he put on as basically the best player in the Arizona Fall League, despite what anybody says. If you think somebody else performed better, Velasquez was a joke. Top 100 consideration as we get to like the final parts of the list. And, somebody that I would really like to see continue to build on that momentum.
No, I saw him thrash the Fort Wayne Tin Caps time and time again.
Oh my gosh. Easy power.
Indianapolis was going to be loaded, the Pirates AAA affiliate, but it will not be loaded to start the season. Roenzi Contreras, Max Kranick, Miguel Yajur, Rodolfo Castro, O'Neal Cruz. Cruz obviously made his MLB debut. So did Tucupita Marcano, Hoyt Park, Yoshi Tsutsugo, Anthony Alford, Cannon Smith, and Jigba, who we like. Jack Sawinski, Travis Swaggerty. They're all protected, the Pirates.
Crazy. That's a lot of dudes. That's a lot of dudes. But what's crazy is this Pirate system is so, developed that we could see at some point, it wouldn't be that early in the season, but at some point next year, we could see Quinn Priester in AAA. We could see Nick Gonzalez in AAA. We could see a lot of dudes, but somebody that I wanted to see was Liover Peguero, because he seems to be somebody that I'm seeing a lot of pundits grow very bullish on. We're seeing him trickle into a lot of top 100 lists. Was excited to see the 21-year-old, but yeah, that there's going to be a delay there for him.
Yeah, 100%. There was another guy. You mentioned Gonzalez. You mentioned, Henry Davis. He's not protected, obviously.
Of course, he was just picked. So
he was just picked.
He's chilling. He's chilling.
Henry Davis might be a AAA guy if the rosters are this decimated.
The bat is there. I mean, the glove, it would be a big jump. But I mean, I think the guy could really roll out of bed and hit almost any level.
We'll see. And you're right. Like, you might just want to sign guys from the top down and sign them to the levels that, they could be placed at. And like, if Henry Davis was going to start the year in high A, then still start him in high A. But I think there's a world where, like, if the overall product in AA is down a little bit to maybe the level of high A baseball with who's protected, slap Henry Davis in AA. Like, let him get some ABs in Altoona. Why not?
Why not? I mean, you look at his offensive statistics, man. I mean, he outpaced Joey Bart in terms of what he did. Lower K rate, better offensive statistics, and Joey Bart was insane at Georgia Tech. Davis is as polished of a catcher as we've seen besides Adley Rutschman offensively.
Yeah,
really in a very, 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 very long time out of college or high school, of course. Davis could probably accommodate that jump, and honestly wouldn't shock me.
And there's a reason he was the second catcher in 3 years to go 1-1. It's
Exactly.
Adley and Davis. St. Louis has Ivan Herrera and Juan Yepes protected, but Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, Matthew Liberator, they're ready to go from the jump.
Which is huge because Liberator is a guy that, I think the Cardinals are planning on being a part of their rotation at some point next year, right? Like they're planning on if somebody goes down or if they, are not getting what they want out of the back end of that rotation, they're expecting Liberator to contribute next year. And him not being able to pitch out of the gate would have really impacted that. So huge that he does not need to be added to that 40-man yet.
Yeah, Milwaukee, Keston Hiura is protected. He definitely would have started the year in Nashville. Like, he just had a year from hell in 2021, going on with a lot of off the field issues too. So, this was a good chance for him to spend 2 weeks in Nashville. If the bat looks back, if he needs 2 more weeks, like it's almost work in 2-week increments in Nashville. And as soon as he's ready, get him back up to Milwaukee, but he's been slowed down again.
What a big offensive boost he could be for them though, right? I mean, I'm really interested to see how he comes back next year. This was one of the more exciting offensive infield prospects in baseball at one point, and we were really, really looking for him to be that breakout guy for the Brewers. They need offense, as we know. They've done a good job of getting some pieces. If Hiura could be even close to what we thought it could be for the Brewers, the team could be really fun.
Could be really fun. And Hiura could be a 35 homer guy.
Yes, in that ballpark, sure thing. You just got to hit the ball enough.
Cincinnati, our guy Alan Cerda had to be protected. Damn it.
Damn it. I love Cerda. Yeah, I mean, and somebody that finished the year really strong. Yeah. Would love to see that momentum continue.
Would like it. San Diego, this is the biggest one for me. Mackenzie Gore obviously had to be protected. Mackenzie Gore not getting to be around the Padres could be a blessing. I don't know.
I was going to say, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing.
Let him clear his head, but it feels detrimental from the outside.
Especially when you have a new, head of development for the entire system. You want to get looks at your guys. You want to be involved there. And it delays kind of that intro and that ability to work with a new director of development for the prospects. Yeah.
Another guy coming off of Tommy John, Adrian Morejon is protected. So he hasn't been able to work with the Padres athletic training staff. Michel Baez protected, Efrain Contreras protected, Ray Kerr, your guy, lefty 101. He can't start in El Paso on time. Luis Camposano can't start in El Paso. And then Eggy Rosario can't start in San Antonio.
Kevin Kopps can throw though.
Kevin Kopps can throw.
He'll probably be big league ready by June.
Good news for them, though. I mean, we've talked about them. Hassel, Abrams, they're ready to rock. They're not protected. They don't need to be protected. And then you got a couple other guys, Euribiel Angeles, who we really like, can hit a lot. Can see if that continues to progress, whether it's in high A in Fort Wayne or it's in double A in San Antonio.
Same with Ornelas. Glad that all those guys will be able to get some ABs.
100%. Dodgers, Jacob Amaya, Edis Leonard, Edwin Rios, Yorbit Vivas, James Outman. Those are all protected, but they've got a lot of their top guys good to go. Bobby Miller can get his innings in.
Yeah, Edis Leonard is somebody that, we're starting to see get some top 100 consideration and had a really good year last year, still extremely young at 21. Somebody that I'm sure the Dodgers are eager to get back out on the field. So that's probably the most impacted guy out of that group.
Yeah. Colorado, Ryan Rollison can't get it going in Albuquerque.
Now needs to bounce back after last year was a promising pitching prospect for the Rockies. We've said that one before, but really needs to get back out there. So impacts them big time. So he's going to be looking at a big league debut next year.
Yeah. Zach Veen can play though. Shout out Zach Veen. Let's guy. Go. Star potential, star potential.
Oh yeah.
San Fran, the guy that we highlighted last week, Elliot Ramos. If only he had a month to get right in Sacramento, and then he could be in the Giants outfield. Ramos is on the 40-man. Joey Bart's on the 40-man, but Pat Bailey is not.
Not.
Boom.
There's a reason why he's ranked ahead. But no, the good part on the Giants side is a lot of their exciting prospects are not on the 40-man. Luciano, Matos, Harrison, Bednar, Bishop, Bailey, Pomares. Like, thank goodness the Giants shouldn't be too impact. Casey Schmidt as well. Ryan Murphy. A lot of their almost all their top prospects are okay. Thank goodness.
Yeah. And then to wrap with Arizona, Alec Thomas can play right away. Corbin Carroll can play right away. Zach Birdie, who they just picked up from the White Sox, I think can be a bullpen arm. It felt like he needed a couple more innings in AAA, and then he'd be right back up with Arizona. He cannot play. Seth Beer cannot play. Stu Fairchild, Cooper Hummel, Geraldo Perdomo, all these guys. Corbin Martin can't play. JB Bukowskis can't play.
They all saw big league time, even if it was extremely brief.
Yep.
You got one AB, one inning. You're on the 40-man. But very, very happy that Corbin Carroll will be able to get at bats right away. Was so good through like 6 games. Was one of my big time, picks to have a massive year last year. Messed up that shoulder. Should be ready to go at the start of the year. And that's a guy that I know is going to want to make up for lost time and force his way to the big leagues at some point next year.
Yep. And that's it for me. So hopefully we gave you a little taste of what your favorite team is going to have going on the farm. And who you can tune into if this lockout does drag on. Fingers crossed it doesn't, but I think you and I are both in the same boat here that they are not going to play 162. Or are you still there? You're still there. No way you're still there. No way.
Talk to me on
Wednesday.
On like Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, they're going to meet every day this week.
Yes, that's the only reason. I look, gun to my head, I'm saying less than 162. But I am not positive. I'm the optimist here. I know I'm the optimist here, which is ironic because I'm the miserable host on this show. But I'm what would you call me? Ebenezer Scrooge?
Yeah, but I think there have been times where I have hated Christmas as well as you.
I like Christmas.
I think, I think Peter is the one that is butterflies and rainbows at all times. And then
at all times, yes.
We have our dark sides for sure.
Yes, definitely. Did we mention the Reds? I mean, we wouldn't get to see Lodolo or Hunter Green. We would see Lodolo. We would see Lodolo. We would not see Hunter Green.
Are you sure about that? Cincinnati, I saw, Jose Barrero obviously protected. I mentioned Alan Cerda. It was quick because I thought everybody that, it kind of made sense. But I could have sworn that Green was not on the 40-man.
He would have to be, right? Because he was drafted in 2017. I might think be enough.
One more year. Wow. No, he's not. He's not protected.
Wow.
So Lodolo and Green can both start in Louisville.
Really?
Yep. But Jose Barrero cannot, even though I think Jose Barrero should be the starting shortstop.
That's so weird because he doesn't have a picture on the on the MLB.com page too, but you're right. He's not shown on the 40-man here.
Yeah, I'm here on the 40-man and
interesting.
Green's not on it.
All right, well, that's good. Well, why are they doing him dirty with no picture?
I don't know. Maybe because
give my guy a picture. Give him his picture back.
Listen, if you want to know the true Ebenezer Scrooge, it's Major League effing baseball right now.
It's Rob Manfred. It's Rob Manfred.
That guy hates Christmas.
He hates not as much as he hates baseball.
Oh. Headlines to wrap this one up. We're trying something new. You said
yes.
I'm gonna bring some headlines and we'll just react to it.
Yes, I thought this would be a fun way to keep people up to date with everything that's going on in baseball. Obviously, a little bit dead right now. This will be more fun when there's more things going on, but kind of around the league headlines that we have seen, reports, and some quick thoughts on it. Mariners are on the hunt for a right-handed power bat, according to USA Today's Bob Nightingale. So,
take it with a grain of salt.
So they're looking for a light-hitting left-handed bat. But no, realistically, I found that report kind of surprising, Jack. Quick thoughts on that, because I mean, they have Kyle Lewis returning. We know that they have a right-handed power bat coming up in the form of Julio Rodriguez. They've got dudes. We've talked about how good of a fit Chris Bryant would be. Seems like he might fit that bill.
Yeah, I was going to say, if only that right-handed hitting power bat could play third base and occasionally hop in any outfield position or play first if need be. And by the way, 6'5", super handsome, and has a Rookie of the Year, an MVP, and a World Series ring on his books. Chris bleeping Bryant is the answer for the Mariners.
Did we mention handsome?
Handsome, super handsome. Those eyes, stare deep into those eyes. You see an ocean in those eyes.
Matt Chapman, though, I think, like not the pure hitter, but packs a punch and they need a third baseman. That's a guy that could make sense too.
And as handsome.
He's a good looking individual as well. Another one that maybe caught me off even more so, Buck Showalter coming out and saying, hey, yeah, we're not ruling out the possibility of adding to the outfield. Huh? You already did that.
Yeah,
you added Starling Marte.
Yeah.
You added Mark Canha. You have, Mark Vientos, who could potentially slot into the outfield. You have a few other guys that all fit in there as well. What are you going to do with Dom Smith? I found that one kind of interesting, but here's the quote real quick before I get your thoughts. Showalter said he and general manager Billy Epler haven't ruled out the possibility of further additions. And I quote, the outfield is something we have talked about where we are. Showalter told reporters, including Mike Puma of the New York Post, we are on the same page with everything where that is concerned. It's a scenario that we are examining to see if we feel comfortable with it. We're always going to look within first. They do have Khalil Lee. They do have Nick Plummer as internal options. They do have Brandon Nimmo, who says he wants to play more center field, but the Mets don't seem too thrilled about that. Interesting situation. Why would they need more outfielders?
Yeah, if only they had a young left-handed hitting center fielder, maybe with the first name Jared, maybe with 2 R's in the name Jared. That would be nice for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have that electric closer, Edwin Diaz, and the really, really good second baseman, Robinson Cano.
DH, yeah, for sure. Robbie Cano could be a DH. We've already talked about that. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on Robinson Cano winning a Silver Slugger as the NL designated hitter. The first ever NL DH Silver Slugger.
Oh, that'd be a wonderful troll of it. Final headline, just unfortunate, but I'm remaining optimistic on this one. Rangers prospect Josh Young shut down due to labrum strain in his shoulder. Good news is it's his left shoulder. Throwing shoulder is the right. Bad news is I do know a lot of players that they had full tears in that lead shoulder for their swing, though, and had to get it repaired. That they've said really kind of made them feel a little bit robotic with the swing. Young is going to rehab and hopefully get back. Staying optimistic there, but this is a guy that we were looking at to potentially crack the opening day roster, if not be up a month into the season. I hope this doesn't delay the timeline.
Isn't this the same thing that Tatis just dealt with the entirety of this year?
Somewhat, yes. The difference is Young, I think, did it through working out. Tatis did it through, I believe it was initially, was it a swing or was it a fall? That was the first time. It was because there was so many times where he upset it afterwards. I don't even remember chronologically what it was.
Yeah.
But regardless, it is very similar. Very similar.
So like Tatis, obviously more skilled than Josh Young is. Josh Young is a good baseball player, but Fernando Tatis is Alex Rodriguez, like we've talked about. So Tatis, like, here's the thing. If he's playing at 80%, he's still MVP caliber and an OPS flirting with 1,000 like he just did, 30 bombs, 40 stolen bases. Josh Young, if he's going to keep aggravating an injury like Fernando Tatis did, just shut it down. Like, it's not worth wasting a year and playing in withering pain for a year. One last thing on the Young family. Jace Young, really good at baseball. Red Raiders, guns up. Mark
really
Adams.
Good. Could be a top 5 pick potentially. Really excited about him. Good news on Young, 2-hand finisher with the swing. Whereas, we were seeing Tatis a little bit kind of flying with that one hand. I think that was hurting his shoulder a bit more. Also, Young didn't dislocate it. We're not doctors, but I will say you bring up a good point. The question for Young was the power, right? Like, was that power going to be there? We didn't see it until this past year where he started to tap into more of it. If his power is hit a little bit or docked a little bit, that's going to impact him a lot more. And I think that's a great point, but I'm remaining pretty optimistic that Josh Young will be okay. May delay the debut a little bit because I'm sure they don't want to rush him.
We're not doctors, but I can absolutely play a doctor on Twitter if need be.
Pro Baseball Doc instantly posting video when a guy goes down saying this is what happened. He's doomed.
I think what I want
behind the paywall though, behind the paywall to read more about how doomed he is. Click on our paywall to get through to our paywall.
Yeah. I think for 4 small payments of $387 a month, what I'm going to do is I might create a Patreon and just put my Little League World Series injury slander on that. So like Gavin Weir, I might just say this guy is going to combust. His elbow is shot. And I'm going to put that behind a massively lucrative paywall and see if anybody pays for it.
That's still one of the craziest things to me, as you can hear these sirens.
Nice.
Welcome to New York,
no,
baby.
You're not a true New Yorker anymore, man. You're thrown by the sirens.
I got to give it a nod. That was a police car. That wasn't an ambulance.
Whoop, whoop.
But to wrap up on that, yeah, behind the paywall, we'll tell you how injured this guy is if you subscribe. Yeah. We won't be those guys. And Josh Young, hopefully back very soon, and we'll be gassing him up. And you don't have to subscribe to anything other than the podcast, which costs nothing. So thanks for subscribing and rating and doing all that good stuff. It's been awesome seeing the numbers grow, Jack. I mean, we're in arguably the most awful time for baseball, and our listeners, you out there, have just been continuing to listen, and we've seen it, the graph tick up, and I can't tell you how awesome that feels for us and how much we appreciate that. So thank you for your support through, I know, what is a very frustrating time for fans, for you during, for baseball people around, and you might want to swear it off, but I just want to tell everybody listening, thank you for not swearing it off and for, supporting us through all this, because we love giving you the content still.
Yeah. And thanks for letting us share our frustration with you, because you're probably feeling the same exact things. And we like getting it off our chest. I hope that this is almost a cathartic experience for you guys as well. So thanks for being somewhat fans of us, because we are massive fans of you. I am apartment hunting again tomorrow, and then I got a basketball game. So it is Aram and Pete on the podcast tomorrow. They're going to have some fun. Be sure to follow Just Baseball on all your social media channels, and we will talk to you tomorrow.